أيها المسلمون أيها المسلمون أيها المسلمون أيها المسلمون أيها المسلمون أيها المسلمون طال ليل الأنيق دمعكم في العيون ما لكم تلبسون حلة البيس ما لكم تلبسون حلة البيس.
I'd like to invite someone I can call a good friend of mine, Omar Deghayes. He's a former Guantanamo detainee, a British resident. Omar was kidnapped from his home in Lahore in 2002. For nearly 6 years he was imprisoned in Pakistan, Bagram and Guantanamo, and subjected to such brutal torture that he lost the sight of one of his eyes. Following his release from Guantanamo in December 2007, he has worked tirelessly for the release of all the prisoners with a number of organisations, including Reprieve. He serves as a legal director for the Guantanamo Justice Centre, founded by former prisoners in July 2009. Omar Deghayes.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm happy, brothers and sisters, it's very, very, very sad incident that we are standing here again. This is the 7th year that Aafia Siddiqui is still in prison. And the way she was kidnapped, many people have spoke about how she was kidnapped and her children were kidnapped from Pakistan and then rendered. First they denied the existence of Aafia Siddiqui and her children, the presence of their children. And thinking about her story and listening to what happened to Aafia Siddiqui is a tragedy in itself. It's a very, very sad incident. Thinking about not only Aafia Siddiqui, her children, 3 children, very small children of few years old, 3 years old, 7 years old, and so on. What justification is there to imprison those small children, even if Aafia has, as they claim, committed something? Where are the organizations, of human rights organizations, who speak about imprisonment of innocent people and children? Where are these people? Why do not we hear them complaining and objecting? Where are the scientists? Aafia is a scientist. Is a very well. She has so much certificates. I can't understand. Where are the scientists, our colleagues? Why do they not speak about her imprisonment? Aafia's case is a very sad case. I've said last time I was here that people saw her in Bagram. There was a denial. The American government denied her existence for many years, until former prisoners like Binyam Mohammed and Hassan Atash and others who were able to speak about her existence in Bagram saw her across the cages. She was in front of them in the cage. We were in Guantanamo when I heard about Aafia the first time. I was shocked to know that there was a woman imprisoned with the men. She wasn't far away from the men. They can see her just across the cages. And they said to me when I was in Guantanamo Bay, Hassan Atash, and when I was released here from Binyam Mohammed, that she was there, and she, as my friend have described her, she lost her mind, completely lost her mind. They didn't know who she was. They didn't know that this was Dr. Aafia. They knew there was a woman. They thought it might be an Afghani woman, locked up because of her son or somebody they wanted. This is something the Americans did. If somebody they wanted, there was a man who was more than 110 years old in Guantanamo Bay. He was locked up in Guantanamo because they wanted somebody of his relatives, not him. And they didn't know who she was. They said there was an Afghani woman who they thought lost her mind completely. She banged her head, she wailed, she cried. Sometimes she did things which you could clearly see that she lost her mind. And until Binyam Mohammed came out from prison, and then when they showed him the picture of Aafia Siddiqui, was Yvonne Ridley, which I will speak about afterwards. Yvonne Ridley was following the grey woman in Bagram, and they had the number 556, I can't remember the exact number, ISN number. And she was asking the American government who this woman was, and they were saying, this is not Aafia Siddiqui, it's just some other woman. Until Binyam Mohammed came out from prison, and he was shown by Yvonne Ridley, he was shown the picture of Aafia Siddiqui, and as soon as he saw the picture, he was shocked. He said, "This is the woman I saw in background." And this is why afterwards the American government started to acknowledge her existence. But now with a new story came up. They came up with a new, totally different story, where they made up a new story where she tried to kill somebody, and then this was in Afghanistan, she was moved to Pakistan. The story is very, doesn't fit with each other. If anyone was to sit down and see the people who made some research on it, it's very, very weird story. And then she ended up in New York, where she ends up in a court, and the jury in the court have already been affected by the clumsy media, which is like fear, terrorism, and all that propaganda that we hear every day in this media, in America, everywhere in the West now. Is fear, plugging fear in the people so that they can use them. The powerful politicians put fear in the normal civilians, and then they can easily persuade them to do things which otherwise they wouldn't accept. So where is the justice in Aafia's case? Aafia's case is a very sad, tragic case. We should continue to work hard and campaign and object. And I'm sure that every bad and criminal action definitely will have a reaction. And they ask, where is terrorism coming from and why these things are happening in the world? And they never stopped and asked themselves. People who are so powerful and think they will not be held accountable. I assure you, people are held accountable. If not in this world, then there is another world where they would be held accountable for their criminal action. I want to leave you with just this simple story that happened. You've already, she said about herself when she crossed the border inside Afghanistan in the time of war. She did that, she said, she did it without having any papers. And she was abducted by Taliban and she was in prison. When she was in prison, she said, she was put in a cell. At night, when night comes, they gave her the keys to lock herself from inside the cell. She said this in her book. They gave her the keys to lock herself from inside the cell, so that nobody can harm her in any criminal way. Compare that to what happened to Aafia Siddiqui in their prison. She was raped repeatedly. She was abused. Every ugly action was put upon her. Just think about what barbarism and who is really the criminal that is causing and does not bind himself to any legal action or accountability. I say this, and I want to remind you of Shakir Amr also, who's still in. Joy reminded me to must say something about Shakir, because Shakir is my friend and I was with him in Guantanamo. He's still now in prison in Guantanamo Bay. Please do not forget him and Aafia Siddiqui from your action and work. First your du'as, and secondly your work and action, which had made a lot of difference. Aafia Siddiqui in the beginning, as I said, they didn't even admit her existence. Now, because of your action and your work, after Allah Azza, I am released. And then secondly, Aafia Siddiqui's existence is being acknowledged. And this is a big step. And I hope that you continue to do the same good work that you have done before, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you the reward for it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Omar. Yeah, as Omar was saying, that there's many people who are still being detained. Even Aafia is not the only female prisoner. There was another case brought to my attention recently. I can't forget the sister's name, but she's actually only 20 years old. She's a revert to Islam. She's been held in Lithuania, and she's been beaten terribly in jail. She's been trying to connect her with terrorist bombings in Russia, but there's no evidence. And despite the fact that that country is actually part of the European Union, under European Union legislation, all European countries are subject to the European Convention on Human Rights, and that's been denied for us. So what I would say to those in Brussels, if you're going to let in countries that are going to detain Muslim prisoners and torture them in prison, then kick them out of the EC. That's what I would say. So yeah, Shakir Amr is still being detained, and there are many events often coming up from time to time about him, just to remind you. So please attend these as well.
يوم تجثو كل أمة في دياجير الملمة للسؤال عن المهمة هل أجبتم الرسول يوم تجثو كل أمة في دياجير الملمة للسؤال عن المهمة هل أجبتم الرسول يوم يأتي الناس وفدا.
Well, today was a gathering to come and remember the plight of Sister Aafia Siddiqui. In the blessed month of Ramadan, when Muslims are rejoicing this spiritual month with their families and their loved ones, we have to remember our less fortunate brothers and sisters. And there is no situation which epitomizes the suffering of the Muslims more so than that of Sister Aafia Siddiqui. So today was an event to remember her, to let her know that during this month of Ramadan, she may not be with us in person, but definitely she's in our prayers.
يوم يغشى الناس نار ودخان ودمار وامتهان واحتمال